Hey, Christina. Hello,
Hey,
hello.
my favorite guest. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm finally back home after almost a year of traveling, so I feel quite well rested. Yes, I'm in Toronto, Ontario,
Yeah,
in Canada.
nice. So, Shiv, for anyone listening, Shiv was actually my second guest. I had just certified my space with Nomad365. I was so nervous, like first time host to any platform or any network. And Shiv stayed with me for what? I think it was, what was it, like 14 nights?
Yeah, I think it was just over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I really wanted to stay longer too, but
So I
I
remember
I would
that.
have stayed for months.
Yes, I do remember you wanted to extend your trip, but then you went off to Brazil. I remember when you stayed here, you took up surfing.
Well, I live in a place where there's no ocean. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get back out west. Or I was recently in California and in San Francisco, and there's a huge surfing community there, but it's not the season right now, and the water is very similar to Cape Town. It's cold, freezing, so you have to definitely have a wetsuit on. After Cape Town, I spent a month in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, which is the biggest city in Brazil, and it's an incredibly sprawling metropolis. And then I also ended up in Rio de Janeiro for the Carnival, so that was a blast.
That
It
must have
was
been a
it
lot of
was
fun.
very adventurous. And then I was going to do a lot more traveling, but I was completely beat. So I got back home in May. Actually, I did portaging with my friends for a few weeks up in the Great Lakes. So that was quite adventurous. I had a moose encounter.
Amazing.
I thought it was a bear, so I was terrified. But then when I turned around, it was a moose. And then I ended up in San Francisco to check out what the buzz is going on right now with all the tech stuff. So that's been my journey so far.
Have you been doing a lot of work or just taking some time off?
I'm constantly doing work here and there when I'm traveling. Yeah, my work comes in wave and it goes.
Yeah. I was a brand new Nomad 365 host, and I was so nervous about having my workstation set up properly for you. And I had everything there. I had my second screen, I had my ring light. If you did use that space while you were staying with me, did you find that very helpful?
Yeah, 100%. The last place I stayed at in SF was very similar. It was massive. There was a workroom with a ring light and everything. And I honestly think these small things add up a lot. I think they just create an environment in a space where you feel comfortable. When you're traveling, sometimes you look tired. So like a ring light always helps.
Sometimes the lighting in a space can be like above your head, and that doesn't always look very good. And something else that I've been working on to improve my workspace is also to consider the backgrounds. Have a really nice painting in the back. I had created as well for you pretty comprehensive digital guidebook that gave you my recommended little gems within my area. Shiv stayed with me here in Claremont. So normally in Cape Town, everybody wants to stay, Atlantic seaboard side, Sea Point, Camps Bay. But here in the southern suburbs, we actually have an amazing, vibrant little community, and we've got a lot of spots like little restaurants and little cafes and even loads of co-working spaces in the area. So I put together this guide for Shiv, and it was like, okay, this is what we as a local family think you should try out.
I loved what you put together. I think when people are coming into a new city or new town, most of the time they find these places by word of mouth, and sometimes they don't even find it, and it just helps so much. I found like 3 or 4 places that I found myself routinely going to once I found them from the document that you created. Like Banana Jam Cafe was awesome. It was just a cool vibe. And then the eatery, and you suggested that in person.
Yeah.
So the food was great there. And also just little, nuances of information that not everyone would know that you put in there. I think you told me about that secret beach as well.
Yes.
Or secret.
Shh, don't tell.
Yeah. Stuff like that is what I live for.
Yeah, like obviously you're going to do a lot of research when you're coming into a new city. You're always going to look up the city, and look at, like, I don't know, whether you're looking at TripAdvisor or Facebook groups, or whether you're part of communities or whatever. But what's so special is those guide, whether that's in a digital form or printed out and left on the coffee table.
Exactly. Yeah. You also had like a really personal touch with the guide that you created. It's really welcoming. It's just an extension of like your hospitality. It's an extension of who you are. So it just feels you put thought into it, and you. I appreciate that when people do that. I think it's a very personal touch.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, it was also really cool to get to know you. We had coffee some mornings, and you even joined for my son's birthday party. You know, I didn't want to put that pressure on you. I obviously just invited you, but you did join for a drink or two, and it was so nice to get to know you as well. We spoke a lot about your family and my family, and now we've stayed in touch. I follow you on Instagram still. Love your content. Love it. I'm going to include a link to your Instagram account because Shiv has got such an amazing eye for the lens. I don't know what it is, like your stories and your posts, everything that you post is so artistic. It's so beautiful. I've followed your journey since you left us.
100%. Yeah. I really appreciate those words. With my photos, I try and translate how beautiful it is for everyone that's actually, watching.
Yeah.
And in terms of, I want to talk back to that moment where you invited me to the Sasha's birthday party. Like that was like a core memory. Like that was such a good time.
Aww.
Like meeting your family. And I think those are, for me, it's about spending time with the people where I'm going. Yeah, sure, I can climb a mountain by myself or something, but I think for me, it's a lot more impactful when I, break bread with a family. Like the way I met I think it was, I don't know whose parents it was. I think
my husband's parents. I think it was. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we had such a common history. They knew about Seychelles, where I grew up, and like just was those small things like that are quite serendipitous,
I'm so glad to hear that, because for me personally, when we've traveled as well, we've always tried our best to integrate into the local culture, and we've also found ourselves always connecting with local hosts. You get so much more out of the experience. So I appreciate that you said that. That's really kind of you. So you obviously, I spoke to you a little bit about Nomad365. It was very new, and I was newly hosted with the company as a host.
I heard about it when I got there, and I was like, whoa, this is actually, it's kind of funny, but I didn't like really enjoy working in the first 2 or 3 spaces that I was in. And as soon as I got to yours, I was like, yeah, actually, I should get some work done.
To be certified, it's very basic things, but a lot of it is very much kind of the non-negotiables for someone who is going to be traveling and needing to do any kind of work. So obviously connection is important, and you got to have good Wi-Fi, not just fast, it's got to be reliable. And then obviously there's other things like you got to have a proper office chair. You can't sit and work for 8 hours and break your back on a bar stool at a kitchen counter. So obviously I had built my space like that. I was like so worried because I had these very thin curtains, and then the sun would come in and hit your face at like 6 a.m. So I have, Shiv, you'll be very proud, I have gone and bought block out curtains. But don't worry, when you come, because you love it so much, I can change it back to the thin curtains.
Yeah, it's summer. Everybody's got to, wake up early.
Yeah.
Got to appreciate the day. So you got to get started with that, which was good.
But not everyone wants to. So the option is there, just FYI. Yeah, so obviously there's been a few improvements. Also put up a shower caddy, those sorts of things. I've got other things in there now. You learned about Nomad365 once you had arrived, and our presence is growing now in other countries, and we're certifying more and more hosts. If you had to see a certification badge, would you consider that first before you consider any other properties?
You know what? After my experience does help. There's a level of transparency that happens, or a level of trust. It tells me that you care. I've been to so many Airbnbs where it's like you don't even see the host, and you just talk to whoever is their management team or something like that. Here, it's such a personal experience. You went through the process of certifying the place, and I know there's a level of requirement that you went through to get to that certification. It just informs me that this is a space where I can work and stay in and have a good time. So that it definitely goes a long way. It helps a lot in my decision making.
me having to certify my space and that process in doing that, it's brought me such a good occupancy rate. Also, as part of the certification does allow me to be exposed to quite a huge network of remote workers and travelers. But like I said from the beginning, my favorite part is obviously meeting people and then staying connected. And when are you coming back anyway? When is your plan to come back?
I hopefully will come back maybe January again because it's summertime, and yeah, I miss my friend as well because I think he had a great time we were just hanging out every day as well, and I made a lot of friends, so I'm hoping to come back in fall. We'll see.